Okay, most of the uh, most of the CDL rosters are out. Um, so let's rank them. Let's go. Okay. So basically, what I've got here is a tier list. Um, we're just gonna change the tier list actually slightly. I'm just gonna do top four. I'm just gonna do top four here. Uh, and then I'm gonna do 5 to 6 here, and uh, 6 to 8. No, 7 to 8. 5 to 6, 7 to 8, and then 9 to 12. Yeah, then get rid of this one. Okay, so this is how we're gonna do it. Basically, we're gonna talk through the rosters. I'm gonna give my thoughts on the rosters because there is some bad rosters this year. And then we will rank them in regards to where I think they're going to be placing in regards to the regular season this season. So throughout the entire season, where are these rosters going to finish at the end of it, based on the rosters that they've got now. So let's start off with FaZe. Now, obviously, FaZe haven't made a change. FaZe is still the best team, still the best team in the league, with these four players. I think last season they had a poor year in regards to their standards, although they won a tournament. They did play sixth at the Triumph, but obviously choked a few times as well in regards to placing second. I just don't see that happening for them this year. I don't see it happening for this four. I don't think they're going to allow themselves to do it. Um, I think this roster will be back to their best, especially with some of the other rosters that have been formed this year. I don't think they can. How do I put it? I don't think they can take the foot off the gas like they did last year. So FaZe top four. I'll do these in order as well. So for instance, FaZe will be first, um, etc. etc. Moving on. Okay, so let's go on to the second team. Who's going to finish second is LET. I think they have constructed one of the best rosters they could possibly have constructed in the entire Call of Duty scene. Even going back to previous years, this is the best roster they could possibly have done. You've got your two-star players in regards to Hydra and Scrap, who have been two of the best players in the entire league. You have probably a second best controller in the entire league in regards to Dangosti. And how I mean by controller, someone that's going to um, be constantly communicating and constantly pushing his team around the map and how he want to break hills, etc. While in the actual game itself, there is no better person other than Kenny than Dangosti. It's them two, and they're pretty clear in regards to um, being top two, behind in front of the rest of the other people that obviously do play that role. So yeah, I think LET are going to finish second. I think their roster is far too good to not finish inside the top two. I think it's going to be them battling with FaZe pretty much all year, um, which kind of moves on to the next team, which is OpTic. I think they will finish third, um, but I think this team is going to struggle to compete up with these other two this year, unfortunately. I still think, obviously, they're not going to make a change. Their team is still the same one that won champs. I think if they did make a change, though, it would benefit this team a lot. If they picked up a more suitable AR for Dashley, I think it would be. I think this team would be perfect. For instance, just to throw a name out there, if they put Insight instead of Dashley, that team would work super well. Um, if that team still had Dan over Dashley, it would work extremely well. Um, someone someone that can command the game and actually do exactly what I said before, is in control of the game and he's a controller of the map, and help Kenny out. I think he's going to help a lot. I just don't think Dasher brings that, and I don't see OpTic with that current four competing with FaZe and Thieves this year coming up. So yeah, they're gonna be third. And then actually we'll do this. We'll do this 4 to 6, and we'll do this as top three. I think that makes a little bit more sense. Okay, so my fourth team is going to be GentleMates. I think this team has a lot of stock. I think this team is well constructed this season. I think you've put back together the championship winning core in regards to Skies, Priester, and Kismet from the MW2 season. Um, Although you have lost Hydra, which obviously is a massive, massive loss, you have possibly gained the next best player in regards to what Hydra brings in Lins, because they are very similar in regards to the player that they are. Um, he's super, super talented as Lins. He's very good at finding his kills. He's very aggressive in the way he finds his kills. Very aggressive on the map. I think Lins and Kiz will work together well. Um, I think the only other person you could possibly have brought in to replace him is probably Kleenex if you could have bought him out of Toronto. I think that's the only other person that you could probably brought in and gone, okay, that's a not as big as of an upgrade. Sorry, not as big as of a downgrade to Hydra. But I think Lynn's, like I said, other than Kleenex, is probably the next best player you could have done. So yeah, that's the reason why they're the fourth best team. Again, the championship winning core plus Lynn's is a good team and it's a good solid team. I think they will do well. Um, Now this is where stuff starts getting a bit. How do I put it? It starts getting a bit weird because some of these rosters have been made so badly. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Minnesota RokkR. I think this team isn't going to be as bad as what people are expecting. I think it's actually going to be pretty good. I think the way that they've built the roster is also really good. I think they've probably got the me personally, they've got the rookie of the year from last year in regards to Estriel. Um, he's obviously come onto the roster. Obviously, the roster isn't here, but basically the roster is Estriel, Geo, Paulex, and Nero. Um, so yeah, you've got those four players. You've got Geo, who was really, really good on a poor Vegas team last year. Um, was the one shining light for them. Geo's problem is the fact that he struggles to play it in a system. He's very child heavy. He won't really stay down. He won't really play his life. He will just try and gun his way out of a situation. Instead of hiding and play his life. But unfortunately, that's Geo. You've kind of got to put up with him, and I think they've actually built around him pretty well. In regards to Estriel, who's a really, really good sub, but he's also a good role player as well. He can be a star player, as he's shown last year on LEG. Star player, you get what I mean? He's stepped up the most out of all those players. Paul X, I think, is coming off the back of one of his best challenger seasons since Cold War. He was really, really good last year. I think he averaged like a 1.2 throughout the entire season. He was really, really, really good. Obviously, won a LAN as well. Um, I think he's going to be good this year. I'm hoping that he steps up because I do wish Paul well. I think he's gonna. I hope this is the year that he does well, because I think he's been kind of screwed out of situations previously when he's got into the league, i.e. New York, etc. Um, okay. And then who else? Oh, Nero. I think Nero's a really good player. I think in regards to him being in like that role sub player, I think he's really good. He's probably about this team's level. But he also brings a lot of slay into his role. I think he suits them well. I think this is a team that you should be looking out for this year. And then I'm gonna go Heretics in sixth. I think the role of RokkR has improved this team a shit ton. I think you getting rid of Vickle, who I'm sorry to say was a flat out liability going into last year. He simply was. By the end of last year, he was dreadful. I mean, I don't think you could. People have had this argument with people where they're saying that he was being a role player, but I'm sorry, at the end of the day, you're there to kill people and you're there to win maps, and unfortunately, he was a liability in regards to his team winning a map. He wasn't bringing enough slaying to the team. He was basically a .7 throughout most of the year. Um, yeah, it just wasn't a good look. Now what I will say is the fact that they've kept Real is a really good positive. Partnering with RokkR is going to progress this team a shit ton. Obviously, I think Metals is a good AR as well. I think he's a solid AR. I think he's good at his role. Um, I think Lucky is the one that needs to kind of step it up a little bit this season. And I think he was pretty lucky last year, no pun intended. Um, he was pretty lucky last year that Vickle was on the roster. Otherwise, he would be caught and he would not be on this team. Um, but I think it's going to be very similar this year. I hope it is anyway. In regards to if Lucky doesn't perform, I think the next person you bring in, um, you're struggling out with them in the Spanish scene. But I hope to see Eric back in the league. I think he didn't have enough time to prove what he's like in the league. And I think if you give him time, I think he will be able to succeed. But the Spanish scene is a bit stagnant right now. There's not very many people coming through. Um, yeah, it's kind of pretty much dead. So Lucky is the next best option, unfortunately. And then seventh to eighth, I'm gonna put Cloud9 in seventh. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put Cloud9 in seventh. I think the roster that they've constructed isn't is I like the pairing. Sorry, I like the players Sib and Attach, but I like them separately. I think if you put them on the same roster, I think the team isn't going to benefit from that. Unfortunately, they're both very baity players. Um, they are both very kill hurry. They like the kills. They're not very good system players. Um, I think if you put them together as an AR duo, I think it's just going to end in calamity. Um, and then you're bringing in Mac as well, who's their rumored third. Their fourth isn't known. I think it's Cramp. Not entirely sure. Um, but yeah, I just don't know this. I don't know with this roster. I think if you bring in Cramp and Mac, I think your AR duo is terrible. Together as a partnership, good. Separately, together partnership, terrible. And then your sub duo is dreadful, separately and together. I don't think Crump has shown what he can do in the league yet so far. Um, I think it's been pretty underwhelming in terms of things. And then you bring in Mac back off a year's hiatus, expecting him just to slot back in. I think you're just gonna struggle. I don't understand why you would do it. I think whoever's helping this team build a roster is just being flat out stupid. Especially being your first year in the CDL, you kind of want to make a statement, and this roster isn't making a statement. Um, Pretty mediocre, and that's why they're down at seventh. Um, I'm gonna put Toronto in eighth, just for the sole fact of I think this roster will prove into towards the end of the year when changes are made, because I don't see this roster being good at the start of the year. I think Ben Bees is possibly the worst pickup they could have done for two teams. Sorry, for this team. I don't understand why you would pick him up as your flex. I think he's very inconsistent. I don't think he brings a lot of slaying to you. I think he's a big kill whore, but not in the fact of a good kill whore in regards to his system. He's just a flat out kill whore. He doesn't help his team at all. He plays a lot for the cuts and not really to win the map. Um, I don't think his S&D is good. His respawn isn't good. I just don't understand why you would pick this. I don't understand why you would pick Ben up for this team. I think the other three ain't. I think as a core ain't bad. I think Kleenex is gonna need to step up this year in regards to being just that next level. Um, right now he's like a medium star. He's good. He's a good second star, but this team's gonna need him to be the star. So he's gonna be putting down numbers and consistent numbers as well. I think Joe's a good second star in regards to the sub. Um, but again, he's not consistent enough in the way in the way he plays the map. I think he puts himself in some bad spots. Um, and he doesn't really frag out like he should do with the sub in regards to the roles that he gets. I think he needs to step up this year if this team wants anything above eighth. Um, but I think halfway through the year they will make changes, and I think they will just scrape champs. Um, which then leaves us with the bottom four teams. So I think the bottom four teams is going to be in this order: Boston, No, actually, I think it's going to be Seattle, Boston, Carolina, and Falcons. Um, Starting with Seattle, I think this team could be a big hit or a massive, massive miss. I just don't know where to place these lot. I think putting Hicksy and O4 together, I don't think is a good combination. I think they're both very inconsistent players. Um, I think O4's S&D is good. Um, Same with the Boozers, same with Nasty. So I think the team would be good at S&D. I just think that they are going to struggle in regards to their respawn. I think if a Boozer doesn't perform well, and as if a Boozer doesn't, it basically isn't one of the best players in the league. I think this team's going to struggle to win respawns because I don't see any of the other subs stepping up to do so. And then Nasty is also not a player that has shown what he can do again from challenges. He's been more of a role AR in the league. I wish he took a step back and actually focused on himself because he is a very very good and talented player. Um, I hope in this team he becomes that second star because this team really 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 needs it. Um, Moving on to Boston. Boston is very similar to Seattle in regards to their team is just so inconsistent. I think they have one star player in Awakening. I think that's a good pickup. I think getting him in back in the league is a good thing. I think he got hold a little bit last year on RokkR in the way that they played. He was kind of stuck in the hill, and now with a player like that, you can't stick him in a hill. He has to be out. He has to be pushing. If you want success from him. Um, I think Cammy as a main AR has potential, but unfortunately he's been far too inconsistent in regards to the way he plays. He hasn't been. I don't think I've seen Cammy do good since Cold War. Um, Now that's a problem, unfortunately, for this team, especially when you have the subduo of Purge and Snoopy, who are possibly the most inconsistent players you'll ever meet in your life, especially Snoopy. I don't know what I'm gonna expect from that guy. He could either give me a 1.1 or he could quite literally drop a 0.8, um, which is not what you need because he is a star player. I don't think Snoopy will be on this team for long. I think after a major, I don't think he'll perform well, and I think he'll be gone. Um, and unfortunately, I think Purge is the same. I think Purge is a very good challengers player. I don't think he's a good league player. I don't think his talents transition well into the league. I think he's a good challengers player, and that's unfortunately all he is. Um, Moving on to Carolina, I think Carolina have built terribly. I think their one hope is the fact that they've kept on to Gwyn. I think that Gwyn could have a good year this year, but I feel like the players that they put around him is just flat out useless. You've brought in Slasher, who's come off the back of two of his worst years to date. Um, got dropped off Boston, which is insane considering how bad Boston was. And then you go and give him another contract in the league. I just don't think it's a sensible move. Um, and then you've also gone and give TJ a contract as well, who was probably, other than Clay, the worst player on that team last season. I think he had a good start to the year in regards to challenges, but then he fell off towards the later end of the year. Um, the fact that you've not kept Fellow is kind of worrying for this roster. I think Fellow would have worked well with this roster. I think keeping him and Gwyn together, bringing in Slasher may have worked with them too. And then hopefully bringing in another sub player that could that could possibly take the team up a level. They might have been able to get ninth, eighth. I just don't see them placing anything higher than that, and I think they're probably gonna bomb out of pretty much every event that they place. Um, Now this Falcon team, I don't think this Falcon team is gonna be as bad as everyone makes out it's gonna be. I think if you watch them play, they have very good principles in place. Now, unfortunately for them, and for a lot of these teams in the league of how they've built their teams, doesn't matter how good principles you have in place, if you can't kill people, you are going to struggle. Now that is their problem. They Their main star is Khalid, which is this guy right here, Khalid. Um, he is their main star. He's going to be good this year. I think he's going to be all right in regards to his team. I think the next person after that is probably RokkR, and he's his other AR duo. I think he's also good too. I think he puts down some decent numbers. I think he plays them up right. Um, Xnid is going. Xnid is one of those okay SMG players. He can put down some numbers. I just don't see it happening in the league, unfortunately. I think if you put this team into any challenges, I don't think they get past top 16. Um, I don't think they're competing with top 16. I think that's where they'll pretty much place each tournament. I think they may be able to sneak into a top 8 sometimes, but that's basically where you are with this team. Um, I think I think they'll give it about a major. I think they'll give it a major, and then that's it. The team's done. And they'll probably change, which is why it's down in 12th. But yeah, that's my team. That's my tier list. In order: FaZe, LET, OpTic, GentleMates, RokkR, Heretics, C9, Toronto, um, Seattle, Boston, Carolina, Falcons. Yeah, and then my thoughts too. So peace out.